Hi, I'm Jake Hamill, Program Coordinator for the ETSU Diversity Educators. Thank you so much for taking the time to meet with me today. I want to speak to you all from the perspective of a student within the College of Education and particularly within the Human Services major. I want to talk about the Understanding Cultural Diversity course that we take within the major and how that's progressively moved from on-site to an online format. While I do see the advantages of having most of our courses online, I feel that multicultural education is too beneficial and necessary to our students to put online and not host on-site formats. I want to speak in particular about the lack of real-life exposure that we would get from an online format, the general lack of diversity that we have within our region, and to explore and process unearned advantages within our society that many of us take for granted, while others lack that privilege and don't have the same opportunities that many of us have the opportunity to have. First, I'd like to talk about the lack of real-life exposure from an online format course. When you're taking a course online, there is a complete lack of interpersonal communication. Without that interpersonal communication, it's nearly impossible to understand people who may be different from you. It's much harder to process the opinions and beliefs of other people on a discussion board. I see it as much more beneficial to do this in person, to gain real-life, hands-on, exclusive knowledge on how to both handle other people, but more importantly, to understand other people. From a helping profession perspective, I feel that the one-on-one experience, or at least some in-life exposure to people of other cultures, is so beneficial and necessary to what we want to do in our future careers. With no first-hand accounts of other people, or people who are different from us, rather, you lack a total depth of knowledge about people who may see the world much differently from you. Stemming from that, I also want to talk about the lack of diversity within our region. In 2010, ETSU reported their demographics that resulted in an 84.6% white campus. There's also a strong lack of LGBTQ individuals on our campus as well. Both of these tying in to a minority basis on our college campus, I feel that many students don't have much exposure in dealing with people who are presented or who are portrayed as different than they are. With an 84.6% white campus, I would assume that many white individuals on campus only assimilate with other white students. Without that depth of understanding people of other races or ethnicities, I feel that it will be much harder to help potentially racial minority clients from a helping profession perspective in the future. Also, when talking about the visibility or lack of visibility of the LGBTQ community, who is to say that many students will not be dealing with LGBTQ clients in the future? Although you can read about the culture of the LGBTQ community and the disadvantages that they faced in the past and still continue to struggle with on a daily basis, if you don't have any one-on-one exposure, you won't understand many of the instances and hardships that LGBTQ individuals face, even on our own campus and in the real world. Our culture is also predominantly Christian in East Tennessee, and that presents a predominantly homogeneous perception of other religions. There are several people who identify as other than Christian on our campus, but with an 84. I lastly want to explore and process with you the concept of unearned advantage, which I feel is the core underlying meaning of multicultural education. What social scientist Johnson refers to as the luxury of obliviousness, many students on our campus don't understand their own privileges and advantages that they may have over other minority students. For instance, a male without multicultural education may not understand the role and obligation that he should have to advocate for women within the workplace. He will probably have no concept of the glass ceiling or no in-depth understanding of how much harder a woman would have to work to get to the same job title that he may have for not working nearly as hard. Also stemming on a lack of understanding advantage, many white students may not understand the same concept of having a title or a position in or a leadership role within the workplace that a person of color may have to work much harder to obtain. When multicultural education is moved to an online-only format and we no longer offer on-site, I feel like our lack of understanding our unearned privileges will go unrecognized further in society, and to us as helping professionals. Without that knowledge of taking the extra step to help advocate for those who are less privileged, I feel that we will be less than competent helping professionals. I know from my own perspective that cultural diversity as a subject, particularly from understanding cultural diversity within the human services major, has changed my lens completely. I went from someone who did to fully take advantage, unearned advantage of society without giving any credit to people who were less fortunate than I was. I used to believe in concepts like the bootstrap myth, that I could pick myself up and work hard, and the things and results that I achieved were much greater than others simply because I worked harder, not because of my role of being a white male within our society. Again, I urge you all to reconsider your decision to move multicultural education within our major to a strictly online format. I feel that it will be a huge detriment to our student population in terms of being competent and efficient future helping professions. Thank you.